Welcome to Black Businesses Matter, a podcast about why Black businesses matter and the benefits of collaborating and advocating for Black businesses to drive impact. Each episode will cover legacy, hope, Black joy, funding sources, cultural shifts, equality, and so much more. We will provide inspiration and action while spreading some joy to a thriving community of Black business owners and leading thought leaders.
I am Larvetta Lofton, your host and the founder of the L3 Agency.
Known as the brand maven who transforms organizations with her storytelling prowess, meet Larvetta L. Lofton, host of Black Businesses Matter, a podcast about why Black businesses matter and the benefits of collaborating and advocating for Black businesses to drive impact.
Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of Black Businesses Matter. You all know it's Happy Women's History Month. So shout out to all the women that are making history, that are making impact. I have to say that this might be one of my second favorite months. Of course, it's Black History. And then it's when I get to be in the room with dope women. And I have one in the studio right now, you guys. Oh, y'all ready for her? We've been talking about theme music and, excuse me, I got the sniffles. We've been talking about theme music. So I'm working on some theme music. Wouldn't it be cool if I come into theme music? I know Black Businesses Matter has its own kind of thing, but if I had my own theme music, I kind of, I might end up pop locking and dancing because that's what I enjoy doing. But guys, we're out of Chicago. For all of our listeners, we always want to say thank you for rocking with us, for listening with us. You all know that we've reached 100 episodes and I am overjoyed. I don't know if I'm going to make it to 200, but God willing, I guess I will. But I don't know that we started this to make 100 episodes. We started this merely, the true story, and I have to say this, is that we started it because as someone is in the space of marketing, I felt like after George Floyd, where was all that money going to really go? And look at us now in 2025, right? They're taking away D&I, they're taking away things. And so I knew that building a platform where people can log on anywhere, right, on any device and listen to amazing, dope, outstanding Black businesses who are making an impact. And about 85% of them are from Chicago, but we've had people all over the world. But I also did it because I got frustrated when people would say they didn't know where to invest. And so it was important that we built a platform that was inclusive, meaning that you can log on, I don't care what race you are, and really learn stories about Black businesses. And it's really about the stories because so many people, and our next guest, just how does she transition from, marketing to being a well sought out artist. I mean, like just that transition. And I think, being in Chicago does help a little bit because you all know we do arts and culture in Chicago. So our next guest is Kudzai Blessing Mutasa. And we're going to talk about her middle name in just a second, but she is a Zimbabwean creative and the 2024 40 under 40 game changer. Y'all, she look like she's 25, just for the record, but she under 40, so we'll take her. Awardee is dedicated to empowering others through her artistry and marketing expertise. As a beauty marketing director with an MBA from Northwestern Kellogg, she has excelled in managing major beauty brands. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. She is an international artist. Kudzai's work is featured in the 60th Venice Biennale. Biennale. And I just wanted to say it because it just sounds real sexy. Her art blends painting and relief sculpture, transforming materials into intricate nature-inspired pieces. She is based in Chicago. Kudzai aims to create impactful work that celebrates diversity and inclusivity, because we've got some of her work in the studio, and inspires future generations. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
This is my girl. This is my fitness girl. This is my beauty girl. This is my go out and let's have some fun and get dressed up. She's that person. She is that. Kudzai is that person. She gonna put it together in like 2 hours. I don't know how you do that. I can't do it. She was like, Larvetta, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go. And she'll go to a gala and say, I'm going and I'm going to get myself together in like 2 to 3 hours. I need about 2 weeks to prepare my mind. But this one right here, you need you a gala friend. That's really what you need. You need a gala friend.
I need some more gala friends so I can get into these galas. How about that?
That's a fact. That's a fact. That's a fact. And I think that, I mean, Chicago is all about galas and, you know, it does, I will say, getting dressed up. It's fun. But before we dive into your work, I asked you this before we started. Your middle name is Blessing. Tell me, like, what's the origin behind that?
Okay, so on my birth certificate, actually, it says Blessing Kudzai. So my first name is actually Blessing.
Wow.
And so,
did y'all hear that? Black businesses matter. That's what we got here. Because I never knew that. So I love when we drop these little gems. Okay.
Yeah, so my first name is Blessing. And my mom said when I came to United States when I was about 3.5, 4, I was the one who decided to go by Kudzai. I don't remember that, but okay. So Kudzai.
I can see that from you, though.
Maybe. I mean, blessing is a lot of pressure.
It is.
So,
no, but you radiate blessing.
I was beating people up when I was little.
So that's what we gonna talk about as a little girl. Who was Kudzai? No, who was Blessing as a little girl?
When I was in elementary school, I was beating people up, but I was Kudzai at the time. And so Kudzai means respect and praise for God. So I'm really blessed to have 2 powerful names that I feel like my life has really kind of patterned in that. One, because I feel like I've been a blessing to my family. Yeah. I've been a blessing to my mother. I've been a blessing, sharing my art with the world and with the community and the gifts that God has given me. Respect and praise for God. I've always tried to, live for God, different seasons, different struggles, but definitely he's been at the forefront of my life.
It shows. And that's the one thing that I think we don't have to do anymore. I don't think we have to announce that we are believers. I think it is represented in how we move and what we do in the world. So as a little girl, were you that girl who had the best coloring? You know how you have a coloring book over and you had the best pictures?
You know what's crazy? I did. But nobody praised me like they should have. I know it's crazy. I talk about this all the time.
Girl, because I've been like, can you show me how to color like that?
Yeah, I think about it and I look back at some of my artwork. I'm like, I was really talented. Why weren't people put her in programs, do this with her, do that with that? So I'm always trying to encourage, younger generations, or if you see your child has this gift, to kind of push it. Because I think people have always been afraid, I don't want my child to be an artist or a struggler or whatever.
Now let's talk about that. Well, and I think the word artist, right? I think we say that is because we think of that as struggle. Right?
Yeah.
Versus with your name, Blessing. Because art is it uplifts us, right? It makes us feel better. It's emotional. It's spiritual. I mean, it's so much. And so I do think that art gets a bad rap.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think when I think of art, I'm not saying that you have to be an artist, but I feel like I've used my art in the business world, and I feel like it has set me apart. And I feel like businesses right now need creative minds and people who can think outside of the box. We have all this AI technology which can shoot out numbers, shoot out algorithms and all these things, but it can't do, it can't be as creative. It can't really think outside of the box. So we need to encourage, that creative side in people, whether it's, sculpture or painting or drawing or singing, whatever that is, it can be translated when you go into the business world. So
that's good. So tell me about your transition, right? Dope marketing professional, dope. and now, and I'm not saying, but I'm intentional with that because you still have the expertise even as an artist, right? So being this marketing and beauty professional and this artist, tell me, when did you make the decision that I want to transition into this, and this right here is where I'm going to leave my legacy?
I've always parallel path my whole career. So I graduated from DePaul University with undergrad in marketing, and I also took a whole bunch of art classes. I didn't get a major in it because I didn't like the major courses, but I just wanted to draw and paint, so I have a whole bunch of classes. And so when I started off in working at Sharpie, working at Newell Rubbermaid, working on in brand marketing, and that's been my career. But I've never felt like 100% this is what I wanted my life to be. Like I've always had, when I got home, there was more in me and I needed to have that creative outlet. And so I was, always drawing and painting. And, from there I was, in art ministries and from there I got into, galleries in Chicago. And so that was really cool. So throughout my career, I've always done both, I've been able to balance both of them. And I feel like my career has helped me with my art because, being an artist isn't cheap.
I know.
I'm like, when it's time to pay for the frames, trying to pay for the booth fees and the travel and all of the art supplies, it's very expensive. So I have not had to go into debt doing that. I've just been like, okay, let me pay for it. And so it's given me that freedom to do that.
And knowing that, right, that you have these parallel paths, right? I want, because I think for some people, they hide that other hidden gift, right? They go to work, they get off work, and that gift kind of stays on the bookshelf. And I'm just asking you, how have you been able to make sure that you're seen as an and not a but?
I think I've always wanted to be good at whatever I was doing, whether it's in my career, taking more classes, like if I was struggling in a certain area, taking more classes, or, taking classes in art. Like I want to sign up for a portrait painting class, today. So I've always wanted to build my craft in whatever area that I was in. And I also wanted to learn from people. So learning from different mentors in my personal and professional career and on how to build that. So I'm not sure if I answered the question, but it's more so just like wanting to excel and wanting to sharpen my gift. I've always wanted to do that. So that's how I've kind of not been tried not to be on the sideline.
I like it.
But like always working on behind the scenes. Like there was a season where, and it was actually during COVID, I didn't even paint at all. Like I just had no desire to paint. And I was doing all these DIY projects and I was resanding the floors in my it was a disaster. Another story, another day. I was doing a whole bunch of different stuff, reupholstering couches and doing all of this stuff. And it was creative, I just needed to have that creative outlet. I was, designing my clothes for different events. So for me, I may not be painting all the time or sculpturing or whatever, but I'm always creative. So whatever that looks like, I'm going to be creative, whether it's like putting on something cute at the gym or going to a gala and putting my own little spin on my outfit. So that I've always had to utilize my creativity in different ways. Because otherwise, if I don't, I'm just like, oh.
I believe that. And I want to ask you this because I've been dying to ask this because I struggle because as, right, I was always this creative, different girl, right? But I also have this very hustle mentality. Like I'm always, okay, what can I make money? And I had to learn how to channel just want to be creative. Like I'm not looking to sell.
Mm-hmm.
I just really just want to have fun and enjoy the process. How do you, like for you, and I think is beautiful, is that you do it as part of your creative journey. And I think as entrepreneurs, right, we're always figuring out, okay, what's my next hustle, or what's my next thing? Like, how can you, because I think there might be people like me, I don't know, but I know for now I'm in this place, like wanting to reupholster or doing. It's funny when you talked about DIY, I made a blue jean, like I bleached it and had fun with it during COVID because I was struggling creatively. And then, my friends, because they know who I am, was like, oh girl, you could sell these. And I was like, then here I go. Oh, I could,
right.
But I just was like, this isn't what I did that for. So how do you help people that kind of are in that space to just let it be what it is, to draw some creativity in a different place? How?
Yeah, so it's definitely a journey. So when I first started off painting, I was painting for myself. It was never to sell or anything like that. It was a creative release for me. Like I used it as worship. Like I would be like crying, like, and I'd always be so surprised at what the end result of my creation was, because I was still learning how to paint. So I'd be like, oh, I'm so confused. I don't know what to do. And then it'd come out. I'm like, oh my God, this is beautiful. I didn't even imagine this. And so then when I got into a gallery and I started selling, that high of selling, like, okay, now who wants to just create? I want to make some money. And I was like, oh, okay. So the people like flowers. Let me create some more flowers. And I'd just be creating. And then people wouldn't buy it. I'm like, y'all said but I realized that it was the stuff that I loved and I put my heart into. That's the stuff that people loved. And so as I've kind of evolved, I mean, I created those things for myself. So there's a certain love. And now I create stuff for myself, but mostly I create stuff to be sold. But I don't create things if I'm not passionate and in love with it. So I say, like, you first need to find out, is there a need for what you're creating? Because just because your two friends say that this jean jacket is cute, and is there a real need for this? Or do other people other than your two friends want it? And did your two friends ask to buy it? Because if they didn't ask to buy it, then they don't really like it. So is there a need? Who are the competitors that are in this space? How much can you sell it for? What are the channels that you can sell it for? So you have to go back really to the, the 4 Ps of like, of all of the things to figure out, is this a viable product? And so I look at that even with my greeting cards that I have. I've been an artist for years and have sold, different price points. And I've always wanted to be price points that were accessible, but some things just take so much time and so much intricacies that they have to be certain price points. But I also wanted to be reachable and accessible. So I was like, well, let me do handmade greeting cards. I feel like we've kind of taken that personal touch, with the handwritten notes and stuff like that. And I used to, at one point, I haven't done this in years, but do Christmas cards and handwrite each one, not just a Merry Christmas, but like, girl, it's been and I used to love doing that. And this was an opportunity to get back into that. And I love fashion and design. And so I wanted to, create that. And so it's kind of evolved to using real leather, real feathers. And so what was the need? Is there a need for greeting cards? There's tons of greeting cards. How do you set yourself apart? Like, you got to look at the price point. And it's like, does somebody really want a $19 greeting card? How do you make that something that they want? So it was about it's not a greeting card. It's definitely something that you keep. You put in your frame. It's a keepsake. Like if somebody had a birthday, they'll always remember this fabulous card and they'll put it on their desk and every day they're looking at it. So it's not it's like getting a print, a handmade print. So that's the way I look at it. So it's about not just jumping to everything. Because, of course, at the time when I was doing my DIY upholsterers, I was like, I can start upholstering couches when I started. And then I realized a month later, I'm still working on this couch. I'm like, that may not be my gift. It may not be my gift. And then months later, when the couch started falling apart on me as I was sitting, I was like, I had to ban myself from DIY projects because they looked good, but they weren't usable. So,
but they're fun to do.
They're fun to do. They're fun. But I always say you have to go into the marketing thing. There's a passion for creating something, but then what is the marketing side of it? Do people actually want that? Is there a need? Is there a market for it? Can you make money off of it too?
Can you make? And I think in all fairness, right? I do believe that, you have to go through that process, right, to make sure. But I also think that's what takes you from out of hustle. Because sometimes, right, I always say there are people that, today they selling, lemonade. Tomorrow they selling, handmade bags. Then next week they're selling art. You got to be careful because what ends up happening, right, is people in their minds see you as the hustler, not see you as the creative. And so you have to be mindful of that. And I think, this idea of evolution, and I think women, do it so gracefully because women have the tendency to evolve, through, whether there's children, not children, but then there's work. Like, okay, I don't want to do this anymore. Like we tend to gracefully bow out in some regards, whether that's being let go or downsized or whatever. We tend to do that, and typically it's something that says, I could totally see her doing that, right? So much people, I could totally see, which is why we're the fastest growing, right, segment in the space of entrepreneurship. I do want, to say, like, what would be, like, I want to ask you two questions. One is, in your marketing background, what was your best campaign? Do you recall your best campaign? And then who's the best brand for you from a passion standpoint to partner with? Not necessarily from the dollar sign, but like passion wise, you see there's a good merge in a marriage that's like authentic.
So best campaign, I would say, would be the No Stereotypes campaign that I did when I was working at ORS. I didn't lead it, but it was created organically in a board meeting, in a boardroom, and just the company was a Black company. It was hair care. There was, women executives at the table, and we were just talking about our different hair experiences and the stereotypes that came across with it. So the campaign was, beautiful hair comes in all types, not stereotypes. So, people are like, you have good hair, you don't have good hair. What is good hair? What does that really mean? And so with that campaign, we did a tour and we partnered with the ladies of Bad Boy. At the time, there was the Bad Boy tour, and it was a 10-city tour. So we partnered with the ladies at Bad Boy. So at 6 different locations, we had Faith Evans, we had I can't remember.
I know who you're
Total and all the people come to the luncheons. They talked about the different stereotypes that they faced in the music industry, and and then we had a brunch, and then we would give away concert tickets. So that was a really cool campaign that I'm proud to say that I was a part of and that I led portions of it. So that was super
and it's still
awesome.
relevant.
It's still relevant today, because we be going through some stereotypes in every area. Our hair, our,
where we come from, what kind of car we drive. Yeah, I agree.
What's appropriate to wear to work, hairstyles to wear to work, and all of the things. And so that was a really cool campaign. Who I'd want to partner with? I think 2 brands. One would be Nike. I think I just love Nike. I love their, mission. I love the athletes that they choose. I love the campaigns about confidence and courage and just do it.
Did you like the new one with the women? Do you like it?
At first, I was like,
It
I'm
was
confident,
kinda-
but I'm confident. And
yeah,
I was like,
yeah,
what's going
yeah,
on? And then
yeah.
it all came together. I was like, okay.
It was a nice build up. It was like an iceberg.
Yeah,
It was like,
yeah. And they always do that. Even with the Jordan campaign, the banning. I was like, yes, I love it. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
So I would love to partner with Nike because they've always been at the forefront of like fashion and,
I agree.
you know, empowering women in sports and athletes. And I'm an athlete at heart, you know, competitive at heart. So I would want to do that. And then I would want to partner with a brand like a L'Oreal or a beauty brand. And the reason why I would say L'Oreal and not necessarily an ethnic brand, because there's so many ethnic brands that are doing well and doing phenomenal things. But I think there's an opportunity to just be inclusive, you know.
I appreciate you for saying that.
Yeah, I think it's right now it's the beauty aisle is so, I don't know what's going on with it. At one point we were the ethnic aisle and then there was like everybody together and I don't know how that's going to evolve. So I think I would want to work with a major brand and see how I could, you know, kind of evolve that story a little bit more. Because that's one of the reasons why I decided to go back and get my MBA. I felt like I had a voice, but my voice wasn't as strong as it could be. And so I felt like going up in the ranks with leadership roles would allow for me to do that with an MBA. And I feel like there's conversations that I would want to have with L'Oreal or Estee Lauder or, you know, Unilever or whoever, just to talk about how we can kind of change, you know, how we talk about diversity and how we talk about inclusivity.
You're listening to Black Businesses Matter, and we will continue our conversation in a second. But first, take a listen to this special message for our BBM fam.
We know how important it is to stay connected, so why not join our BBM Fam Club for special announcements and exclusive offers by texting BBM FAM to 312-300-1300. That's BBM FAM to 312-300-1300 today. Now let's get back to Black Businesses Matter.
And I loved, and guess, you know, one thing that I love about your cards is they do evoke emotion. I gave them away and then I kept one. I still don't know if I want to give it away or I want to keep it. I haven't figured it out because I really like it, but I knew I could get another one. But not all of them are alike, which is special. The part that I think is amazing is the diversity of the women, right? Like the fact that I think the fact that it is fabulous and that they are dressed up, I think is a to me is a moniker to who we are sometimes as we're caregiving or taking care of kids, that you're probably wearing your sweats all the time, but you do remember that girl, right? She's still there. You know, she hasn't gone away. I was listening to a show, Kudzai, was saying, no matter what, the little girl still pops in and she never dies, right? And so even when you leave the world, your legacy still will remember the little girl. And so we have to really look at your greeting cards as like a moment in time to be able to just know that as a little girl, I can be friendly, right? I can put on all the things and look fabulous. And I think it's because, you know, we're getting into this modern place of lounge and everybody, and I get it. I get it. So it's never, I will say this, it's never a or for me. I am an and girl. So it's not that, but it still just feels nice to see it. You know,
Yeah,
it just feels nice to see it. So as you build on the creative, so now that your work has been international, who is your favorite obsession? And I say obsession, whether it's artist, that you would love to have your artwork? Like literally, if they were to be like, and I believe words are powerful. We're using technology, right? The waves move. So like, who's that? And it doesn't have to be someone known.
Oh, I already know, honey.
Okay.
I want my artwork in the Obama Foundation.
Ooh, that's good, y'all.
I want it in the Obama Foundation. I don't want it just to be
That's good.
in somebody's house. Of course, whoever wants to buy it, go ahead and buy it. But in the Obama Foundation, so that hundreds of people, thousands of people who walk through it will be able to see it and appreciate it and love it. So I want my artwork to be in public places so that people can really experience it.
I love that. And I think when you look at, I'm just having a moment, right? When I look at it, we see the Michelle, right? The first lady. I'm not she was the first lady.
Forever first lady.
I know, forever first lady. I gotta be careful, but she is our forever first lady, especially coming out of Chicago. For all of us that live in Chicago, that was our first lady. And when I see it, like, remember when we couldn't wait for her to see what she was wearing? Like, it was a thing. I don't think we did that with any other, right?
Yeah.
Although I did appreciate, I did appreciate fashion wise. Not that we saw was the Kennedy, like I did appreciate that look, but we experienced it later in life. Yeah, but to see her and what she was gonna wear, that was a thing.
It was a thing for sure. Yeah, it really was. It was a thing.
And so I could totally see her there. So public spaces and Obama Foundation, Obama Library. So, guys, we put it out there. So I say all this because I think it's the power of community, the power of impact. So if you know someone, we actually had someone from the Obama Library was on the show, young girl, amazing. She is a young girl organization, but she works for them.
Oh, okay, cool.
The one thing that I do for our show now is, especially for my women, because women tend to be, they don't brag. So we have this, what we call, it is the Black Brag moment. It's BBM. I'm still playing off of our BBM, but it's a moment where you get to brag. Like it's, because I think we feel like, I don't want to talk about all the things, but you now have a moment to brag. So please tell us anything that you want to brag about.
I think it was said in my intro. It's always so hard to brag about somebody else because I'm always that friend. I know. When I go somewhere, I'm gonna be like, "Oh, let me tell you about my friend." And but then when it's your moment, you're like, "I think you know everything about me." But I think like some of the key
it can be personal.
Yeah. So I think like some of the key highlights I always think about. Finally completing my Kellogg MBA. That was really huge for me. I'd wanted to go to Northwestern since I grew up 6 blocks away from Northwestern.
Wow.
So my aunt went to Northwestern. She got her PhD from there. And so I knew as a child I wanted to go. And so as an adult, being able to get my MBA was just like really special to me, especially with the name of Northwestern backed by it. And then just being able to showcase my artwork. I do have an exhibit, and it will still be up and through April 27th.
Okay.
So
where is that?
It's at Navy Pier, and it's called "Give Her Flowers." So it's
I saw it.
You saw it?
Yes. At the art with I saw it. Oh my gosh, it's in the art show. What's the name of the studio? The
Women's Live Artist Studio.
Yeah.
Yes,
well, that's the name. And so beautiful.
Yes,
that was like that's cool. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, so it was Give Her Flowers. So it's honoring 14 Black women in Chicago who have been arts advocates. So each one of the women got a portrait, and I was got the honor of doing Linda L. Murray, who was an educator. She was an arts advocate, and she was an educator at Hyde Park Academy. And so now that the exhibit is up, I get an influx of inboxes. Like, thank you so much for honoring her. She passed away.
Oh, wow.
And so she touched so many people. Like somebody on my LinkedIn was like, she saved my life. I wouldn't be here without her. So that exhibit really means a lot to me. simply because I took that time to, it was definitely a style that I haven't done in a long time. I was trained by a portrait painter. And so I've kind of backed away from that, because when you do realism, then people were like, oh, I don't know that lady, or that's not me, and so they don't buy it. And so you I still like faces and figurative work. So I try to like blur it, have, blue faces, red faces, different styles and three-dimensionality. But that piece, I really went all in the portrait phase, because it was a portrait and it needed to look like the person. I was like, please don't let me have a Dwayne Wade situation. I was like, Lord, let this picture look like this lady.
Well, let me say this, not knowing who she was, I do felt like you felt the lady. Like there was a part where I was like, I feel her. I felt like her expression, it felt real. So from that, I think that's also what people want. Like, does this, it doesn't seem like a copy.
Yeah. Right? And everybody says I really conveyed her personality and her spirit.
Nice.
So
That's
that was
awesome.
really nice.
That's awesome.
So I was, that's one of the things I'm really excited about right now. So make sure you go to see the exhibit. It's through April 27th. And it's in the between doors 5 and 6, and 14 other women are honored. Different artists do it, and they really did an amazing job. I think every artist, put their own style and personality and really did exceptional. I was like shocked when I saw the pieces. I was like, oh my God, this is gorgeous. So,
it is gorgeous.
Yeah.
It is, Kudzai. I mean,
Thank
it
you.
is gorgeous. We ran across it, just ran, like, how you just turn around. So let me say this. There is something that I love. This is Larvetta, that when I see someone that I love and adore and admire, who is a friend in my community, and I see their work without them there, it just does something. Like, it's like a moment, like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Like, it just makes you feel really good inside. Because I do live in this model that I want us all to win.
Yes.
I just don't believe in the I do believe in the we. And I do believe that it's important, listeners, that, art is a form of expression, and being able to have Black artists, Black women, I think is so huge. Because we need more. I mean, we know we need it in all industries for that. And, just as this podcast, we've tried to hit almost every industry intentionally. This year, we've been intentional with art, because one of the things, and I shared with Kudzai, is that people talk about Chicago. And one of the things that people said about Chicago, I said, what is the thing that you love about Chicago? And people will say culture. And I'm like, tell me more, but break it down. And people were like, it's just like, and a lot of people have never been to, like, I have a lot of friends that have never been to Chicago, but they've been to New York, or they've been to LA, they've been to Atlanta. And the thing that they came back was, it's like, and it was crazy, like the culture of, like, you see, like, there's art, there's food, there's the other thing they said, art, food. It was one other thing. It was you see architecture, and so you can go there and be inspired. So if someone that's a native, it was good, but I was so amazed that they saw it as art, because one of the reasons why I was asking was that, what do you come here and take home? Because I'm big on, what do you take home? Like, a lot of places we go, we get, we shop, and you bring it back home. And shopping was one of them. But one of the things that came back was, I could see graffiti. And I was like, but you see it in New York. But the difference was, it was saying, but the graffiti in Chicago, the way that they described it, it's art. It's not. With there, it's
just tagging.
It's tagging. So it felt very different. It wasn't like, it didn't feel unsafe. And so I think we have to really understand. I think that we have to really force ourselves to, even as natives, to really work through that, because when I was in Atlanta, they have murals and it was all about women, and they had a tour. And I didn't finish the tour, but that was so beautiful. But I said to myself, I don't know in Chicago that we have women murals all over the city of Chicago. So there was a flag for me to say, why don't we have that? You know, because in my mind, it's stepping outside of that school, stepping outside of that business. You want to see some art. And I mean, you got the beam. We've got it for sure. But just making sure from an inclusivity point. And so when people said it, it really just helped me to understand, like, we've got to bring art to the forefront. That was what I noticed. Like, we've got to build it as a business and not necessarily as this, that's what you do, and not necessarily, but that's how you're impacting the world. And, you know, as we both know, even with our pastor, we've seen that in what he's doing and the impact that is coming. But I do think that even if you take past, it's because it's not there, right? So we had to bring it together and make sure. So, Kudzai, we used to say your younger version. I'm now talking future version, right? When you think about 100 years from now, right? Kudzai's art, what do you want people to remember?
I want people to remember that I inspired people, and not just because I was an artist and I wanted other people to become artists, because I really don't want other people to become artists if that's not your thing. Yeah. But I do want you to think about, like, what is your thing? Yeah. Like, and how do you find that thing and go after that thing with all you have? So just that I inspired people to go after what they, you know, truly wanted and desired. So not to date this, but I'm doing something with the juvenile correction facility next week. And this will be our second year doing something for Black History Month. And the first year we started off, it was just, you know, the kids would create something that were there and, you know, spotlight their art. And then I displayed some of my artwork. And so this year, we're doing the same thing. I'll display, and I'm inviting some of my other artist friends to display some of their artwork, and they'll create something. But then we're going to do an arts and crafts activity as well. And so from that, it's just like, I think art can literally save people's lives. Agreed. Like, instead of going out and doing stuff that you're not necessarily supposed to do, you could use that as your creative outlet. Or, you know, I feel like art got me out of a lot of trouble. You know, I was, you know, being an only child, you have to, you know, learn how to entertain yourself. So I was always entertaining myself and play with dolls longer than most people, braiding my doll's hair. My doll had micro braids, tracks, all the hairstyles, and just painting and stuff. So I feel like whatever that creativity is, I done run out of storage. Aww. Whatever that creativity is just allowing for that to be your outlet, you know, diving into that and to also help you make better choices. Yeah. So, because
there's even art therapy, right? That people implement for kids. And I think, honestly, I just believe everybody is still dealing with kid stuff, that it can be applicable for adults.
Yeah. When I used to do a lot of my paint and sips, people would just, I'm like, all right, 2 hours is up, y'all. I'm not about to be here all day with you. And people would just be like, oh, this is so relaxing. I just love this. And I love paint and sip parties. We don't have a moment to just breathe and relax and and I think with our kids, there's so much going on, so much lights and TV and all the technology. Things that are just, it's just too much. It's overstimulation.
It is. It's overstimulation for me.
Yeah. And you have a developed brain. You know, you know, these kids' brains are still developing, and you're giving a child an iPad at 3 and doing all this stuff. So it's just, how do we channel, you know, relaxation, creativity, and not even for jobs, but for yourself, for your self-care, for your mental stability. How do we utilize the arts for that?
And I think, and I love that in your future self that this story, because which is what I love about podcasts, they don't die, right? You can always listen to audio and hear about the story, and just what you're saying in my mind, right? It still applies 50 years later, right? Because a lot of the stuff was happening. We just didn't always have access to it. And I agree with you that arts is that arts for me was, theater, and that was my background. And so having that and helping kids who were at risk to channel, like they were some of the best on the stage because they just had another place to channel it, right? Whatever that ADHD or something that you're struggling with, you can put it out there and put it on stage. And I think that I just hate that in city schools we've gone away from that and not really utilizing art. And that's like future wise, I really hope that comes back because I do believe that we all learn and think differently. And so being able to put it on the stage, put it on a canvas, put it in a frame, whatever that is, is a form of communication and communicating. So I love it, Kudzai. I love this.
Yeah. And it's interesting that you mentioned theater. Like growing up, I talked about how nobody saw the artist and the drawer and the painter in me, but they always saw the theater person in me. I was always on stage. I had the lead role of Amelia Bedelia, and I was in advanced theater, and
nice.
that was my outlet. And so I think I'm just creative in every aspect of it. So I think we just need to push that.
I think we do.
Yeah, we have
I think
to.
it's I just remember, writing stage plays, and I liked it. I liked the writing, and then just seeing the vision brought to life. Yeah. Like the idea of doing that. And I do think, I am a firm believer, I wonder if you think this, I believe everybody has some creativity.
Absolutely.
Don't you think that?
Absolutely. It's crazy. Like going back to the paint sips, like people, I'm like, wow, that's really good, and people just channel it in, and they're like, you can go back into, you do your makeup every day. And so you have that touch, or you like doing your hair, or you like styling. So you're like, okay, I want to put polka dots or whatever. And I think we're in such a go society that we never have a moment to just breathe and relax and just fully explore
the flowers. Like that's one of the things that I struggle. That I was such on the go that I didn't stop and smell the flowers. Today I'm a lot better, but I would just be moving and go and keep it moving. Let's go. And now that I've realized that was a thing for me, that being able to stop, like literally stop, like put the phone down, and just enjoy the moment. And so, and being present, right? And I think art, I remember when I lived in New York.
I didn't know you lived in New York.
I did, because I lived there for 2.5 years, and going to galleries in New York was one of my most sexiest moments. And I say it because for someone who likes to talk, right? At galleries, you talk. Like people, there was, obviously that was a long time ago, but we still had pagers or something. But people would be like, man, what you think about that picture? And you just have a full conversation. And it's like, and then that conversation is carried on, or maybe it's not, or maybe it takes it to the restaurant that you guys go to. Like, that's the part that I think has gone away. So then when you take that, right, to me, technology shouldn't be allowed in galleries, because it really is a moment to be able to build community and talk. And I will never forget, and I say it's a sexy moment because I saw it in Harlem. Was it Harlem? One of them.
The TV show?
Yes.
Okay.
And so it was a moment that I had a full, deep intellectual conversation that I ended up meeting Russell Simmons' brother. Didn't know him. He's an artist. Didn't know him, but like, I think his name is Mark. I think it's Mark. But anyway, we just had a deep conversation. I didn't know him. He didn't, but it wasn't like, hey, I'm, Mark Simmons. It was just very like, we just were talking. And I was like, this right here, and that's when I was like, New York is dope, because you could have a conversation with someone that really, in some regards, is far out your reach. And you're not there to get a card. You're not there. And so we just had this dialogue, and that's literally when I fell in love with like Brooklyn. I was like, oh my gosh, this is dope. Because I never had experienced that in Chicago, like where it was so organic and so just, and it very trusting. Like you just trusted what he was saying, and he was trusting what I said. But I didn't know he was like a real like artist, and I'm like, I'm a theater artist in that space. But we just had that moment. And Kudzai, that turned, true story, that turned into like the restaurant, that turned into, eventually we started talking, and was like, me and my girlfriend were looking for an apartment. He's like, oh yeah, I'm renting my apartment. That's how it just, right? It grew into that, which was so absolutely beautiful. Like, I was like, art really brings people together, and it brought trust. Like, he was like, yeah, I'm renting. He said, but I don't want to rent to just anybody. And so he walked us over there, showed us the place. Girl, we were in there like, when I tell you, that apartment was so dope. It was so dope. We were like, this ain't in our budget though. Yeah. This isn't in our budget, but it was gorgeous. It was gorgeous. So we could talk all day, Kudzai. We could talk all day. But I do want to ask you this, because we always ask this question: why do Black businesses matter?
Ooh. Oh my gosh, we matter for so many reasons. I think we have been forgotten about. And I think when you look at buying power, African Americans over-index in spending. And they over-index in, creating the culture. And so we're doing all this spending and creating all of these trends, but then we're not growing the businesses. Like we're giving it to somebody else to grow businesses. So Black businesses matter because they're the ones that should be taking advantages of the trends that they're setting. We need to help build up our communities, because our children, as we talked about, need it. Our school systems need it. Our families need it. And there's so many creative people. Like you talked about Black women over index on, entrepreneurship. Like there's this true grit, grind, creativity that we have. And so we just need to support that, because it's not that we're in a lack of creativity. We're in a lack of investment, a lack of funds, a lack of support, a lack of distribution. So if we had the resources and the infrastructure and ecosystem, like think of all the things that we could do. And of course, not everybody wants to give that to us because they know of that opportunity. The last role that I was working at, I was creating that, and I was really excited about what we were, building. It ended up being paused, and hopefully I'll be able to take that on, that mission on with another company. But that's like, if I were to talk about my legacy in marketing and my contribution to the Black community, it would be helping to create, the resources, investment, and ecosystem that we need to build strong businesses.
I agree. What brings you joy?
I would say lately, my mom. And I say that because, even though she would be like, really?
That's okay.
I would say that because a couple years ago, she wasn't healthy. And so now to see her healthy, it just brings me so much joy. I was thinking about it this morning because she had a doctor's appointment. And at one point I was going to every single doctor's appointment. And today I was just like, I don't want to go. You can go on your own. And she walked out. She said, I'm having my first day of kindergarten going by myself because I've been so overprotective. So it brought me joy to say that you're at a point where I don't need to micromanage you on this right now. And so that made me happy that she's doing so well that I don't have to micromanage that. So yeah.
I'm telling you, a mother-daughter's love is just so special. It really, really is special. So I could see where that can bring joy. This has been a joy having you on the show. Guys, check her out. Share your website. Kudzai, please share your website.
So feel free to go to my website. It's I am my first name KUDZAI.com. My social media on Instagram is IAM_KUDZAI. So IAM_Kudzai. And you can get my greeting cards. You can get some of my art prints and some of my original artwork as well on there.
Guys, come on now. It's Women's History Month. Support who is making an impact in the world. That's the most important thing. You know, that is what we care about here at the podcast, is creating impact and also creating opportunities for there to be collaboration. So even if you have a business and there's an opportunity to collaborate, then call Kudzai, email her, DM him, I mean, all the things that you need to be able to do, because I also believe that out of these conversations and out of these interviews, you know, how do we build community and how do we build collaborations that come out of here? That would bring me joy that someone listened to a show and decided, hey, I want to partner, and that partnership turns into an enterprise that's, you know, that's international. Thank you, Kudzai. This was awesome.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
This is awesome, guys. I was struggling today, but we got through it. But whenever I have dope Black women in the studio, their energy feeds on me and it gives me what I need. So thank you so much. Thank you, guys, for another episode of Black Businesses Matter.
The Black Businesses Matter podcast is produced by the L3 Agency, a culturally sensitive influencer, marketing, and communications firm in Chicago, where relationships are our currency, passion is our profit maker, and people are our bottom line. Follow us on Instagram at Black Businesses Matter.